In this tutorial series, we'll turn a 2D bear image into a 3D model, fully rigged and animated. First, we'll model the bear following the 2D image reference, unwrap it, texture in it, add in fur, and finally animate it. Let's bring our bear character to life. So the first step is going to be to use or to align the reference images. So here we have the front and the side of our reference images. You're going to find them in the resources. So first I'd like to bring the front here. In order to be on the front, you can press 1 so that you're going to be on the front orthographic. And after that, we can simply drag and drop the front bear that we got here. Just put it here. Let's make sure that the feet are touching the red line. Just lift them up just a little bit, and let's have our character symmetrical or facing the front to be centered here. And if we move on, so the image is going to disappear. So what we can do, we can jump to the object properties, and we can make sure that the image is shown in the orthographic and also in the perspective. So let's check that box. So next we have to switch to the right side, so we can press 3. So now we are on the right side. So next we can simply drag and drop the side image, and let's do the same thing. So the feet needs to be touching the red or the green line, and we have to have it centered like this. So let's press 1. So now we are good to go. So next we can set the preview here. I would like to collapse this window. We won't gonna need the timeline, so we can do right click, show areas on the bottom, and here at the top we can split our window into 2 parts like this. So here it's gonna be the front, and here it's gonna be, you can press 3 to switch to the side. So the next step is going to be to work on the face structure. We need to create it. So to create the face structure, we're going to be relying on loops. So this is the right method to create any kind of face in 3D modeling, of course. So here I'd like to show you the structure that we're going to be using. So the loops. So basically we're going to be defining the face loop first. Here, let me just increase this thickness to, let's say, 10 so that we can see it better. So we're going to be creating an entire loop for the face, and inside that loop we're going to be defining 2 additional loops. So another loop for the eyes and another loop for the mouth. So this is the right structure if you want to follow the natural flow of the face. So this way your model is going to be easier to sculpt, to animate, and to add details later. So let's go ahead and work on the face structure. I'm going to just delete everything we got here, and let me go back here to the move tool, and we can start with the one simple plane. So Shift S, cursor to select it, we can press Shift A, and we can start with a plane. So this plane, all I need is just one single vertex. So on the edit mode, I'm going to be selecting this vertex here, or actually we can delete the other ones. X, delete the rest, and let's start with the one simple vertex, this one here. So I'm going to put it on the top of the nose, exactly here, and this is going to be our starting position. So we have to keep an eye on both the front and the left, or the front and the right. So here we have to move this vertex horizontally like this and put it here where it belongs. So here we have a slightly misplacement in our reference image. It has to do with the drawing. So what we can do, let me just go back here to the object mode. We can select this reference image and we can just move it a little bit down. So let's press G, Z to block the movement on the Z axis. Alright, so let's select our vertex here, so it's hard to see it, but once we're going to be extruding, it's going to be easier to select. So first I'd like to extrude and follow this line here. So the structure or the face structure, let me just draw it for you here. So we're going to start from here, and we're going to go all the way up, and we're going to make the turn here. So we need to make this structure of the face, not the entire head. And we can stop, for example, here. So this is what we're going to be doing. And here in this angle, we're going to be following the front side. So we're going to be making those vertices follow this edge line of the reference image. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me just hide this note here, and we can continue with our point here. So I'm going to extrude and go up, extrude all the way to the top. So make sure to use fewer vertices. So the fewer the better, because we're going to be using the subdivision modifier later. So all the way to the top here, and we can extrude again to reach the forehead. And after that, we can start making that face turn. But here in this area, we have to make sure that we are both aligning it for both the front and the side. So we have to move these vertices to the right side. For example, this one here. Actually, this one, I'm going to just leave it as it is. for the second vertex and the last one, let's make them like this. All right, so let's continue the extrusion. Extrude, and keep an eye here. Expand that loop. Extrude on down a little bit. All right, so that's good. Extrude down and start making that turn to the left. Same thing here. Till we reach the chin. Exactly like this. Let me just take this one inside. So now we created that loop. So if you exit this orthographic view, let me just show you the loop that we just created. So it's starting from the nose all the way and making the turn here all the way to the bottom of the chin. So the next step is going to be to start extruding this edge loop that we just created. So I'm going to select all these vertices from the bottom all the way till the top here. And after that, what we can do, we can extrude them on the Y here. So we can press E to extrude and go something like this. So here we have a problem. Let me just revert back and make sure that this vertex is selected, and let's extrude it here. So let's keep this one on the front. So what we have to do, we have to scale it a little bit down. Let's push it to the left side. We can push it down, something like that. For this vertex, we can take it manually to the left side. And let's do the same thing for the nose part. So I would like to select these vertices on the front. We can press 1 again and we can extrude them on the X. So let's press E, X, and let's go sideways like this. Here on the right, we can tilt or move those vertices a little bit backward here, something like that. You can try to push these inside. This one's going to be better if we try to move it a little bit down. For example, this vertex, we can try to align it better with the nose. And here you can try to make it close to the eye loop. So let's just take this one a little bit sideways, something like that. But we have to find a way to finish this loop. It needs to be continuous. So what we can do, let me just select this vertex that we got here. We can try to move it by grabbing it using the G. You can grab it down like this. And since we got an additional vertex here, so we need to add the same thing here. So let's select these two vertices. We can press F to fill it, and we can press Ctrl R to insert an edge loop inside it. So this way, if we select this edge line, and if you press F double times, we're going to be filling this part perfectly. So this vertex here needs some care, so we have to push it down here to make it go with the flow of vertices, something like that. So now it's time to define the eye loop. So let's press 1 to be facing the front again here. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to switch the edit mode. We can select one single vertex. Let's keep an eye on the right too. We can press Shift D. Let me just move this one a little bit to the right side. We can select this one, Shift D to duplicate it, and let's place it here on the right orthographic. So this vertex that we just duplicated needs to be around this position of the eye. So after that, we can start extruding. So let's extrude down. And we need to make sure that we are following this edge line. So extrude again down, push this one to the left side, and continue like this until you finish the eye loop. So here you can just keep extruding that single vertex while keeping an eye on both the front and the right side views. And for the last point, we can select these two vertices, shift select them both, and we can press F to fill them. Here we can press Ctrl R to insert an extra edge loop, and you can take this one up like this. So now we created the eye loop. So now all we have to do is to connect this eye loop with the face structure loop. So let's go ahead and do that. So for example, here we can select these two edges and we can press F to fill that gap. Let's select the top edge line. We can keep pressing F to fill those edges. So at this position, what we can do, we can press F, but it's going to be a little bit tight. So instead, what we can do, we can insert a new edge line here. And we can connect these faces together, these edges, and you can continue here from the bottom. You can press F again, press F another time, and for the third time. And we need to stop right here. So let's do the same thing on the other side. So here I'm going to be selecting this edge, and we have to extrude it. So let's press 1 to be facing the front. We need to keep an eye on it here. So let's extrude it down here, push it a little bit to the left. Extrude again, push to the left and continue with that edge line until we reach the chin. Extrude again all the way here, drag this one here. And after that, we can select this edge and we can keep pressing F to fill all those faces. So next step is going to be to work on the mouth loop. But so here, let's fix this problem. We can drag this vertex a little bit to the left side. We can move it down. All right, so let's press 1 to be facing the front. And after that, I'd like to select again one single vertex, Shift D, and we can put it here up, a little bit down, and we can start making that, extruding those vertices. Extrude another one here. Let's drag this one to the left side, and we can make the turn. Something like this. Extrude one more time, push to the left side, extrude down. Here we can add more edge loops. So let's press Ctrl R here. We can drag this one down. And finally, we can extrude all the way to the left side here. For the main structure that we got here, we can insert an edge loop, Ctrl R, insert it, and we can drag it down. So this way, these 4 vertices will go together. So you can press F to fill that gap. And here, let me just continue. You can press F 2 times. Here, let me just check the shape. So we forgot to align these vertices. So let me start with the last one. You can push it all the way outside until it reaches the edge line of the reference image. Same thing here. You can push this one, all of them to the left side. You can take them a little bit down here. This one, we can push it up. So after that, let me select these 4 vertices and we can extrude them up. So let's extrude like this, and we can extrude another time. That's good. So on the front here, we have to better align them. So it's a little bit of a mess. So what we can do, just take these up until they match the edge line of the nose. Same thing like this. And for this one, we can take it down. So it needs to be matching the mouth or the eye, something like that. And we can start connecting them with the eyes. So we got this one close. We can press F to fill it. And let's make sure it's smooth here. So for example, this vertex needs to be pushed outside. All right, a little bit down. That's good. For this one, we can push it also outside, drag down. That's good. So here, let's find a way to fill these gaps. So let me select these 2, press F. And finally, we have 3 faces here, edges. We can press F to fill that edge line. There we go. You can do right click and shade smooth. So the last piece to fill is this one on the cheek, the left cheek. So let's go ahead and fill it. You can press F over there. Again, we can select these 2. Let's press F. And here what we can do, we can insert an edge loop. You can try to push it outside just a bit. And let me select 3 edges, press F. I'm going to be inserting another edge loop here. So Ctrl R right here. So for those on the bottom, we can make some room. Let me just push them down. Something like that. And here we can try to fill these 2 points. Press F again to fill all those points. So now we got the main structure. So all we have to do is to add the mirror modifier and the subdivision to see it better. So let's start with the mirror. So on the modifiers here, we can add the mirror modifier. So the center point is not well set. So what we can do, let me press 1. We can select all of those vertices. We need to have them aligned in the same edge line. So we can press SX and let's press 0. So this way they will be all on the same line. So after that, we can press Shift S, cursor to selected, and we can go to, let me just exit the object mode, go to the object mode. We can go to object, set origin to the 3D cursor. So now if you press Z, switch back to the solid, we're going to be having a perfect mirroring effect. So let's add again the subdivision modifier. So here on the modifier, let's search for subdivision. Okay, we can increase the level viewport to 2 to have better details. Perfect. Let's work now on the nose of our beer. So on the edit mode, I would like to select only the top 2 vertices. We can press 3 to switch to the side. And here I'd like to extrude 2 times. The first one here, another one here, and finally we can select these one on the bottom, and we can press F to fill them. And finally here we can select these 4 edges, and you can press F to have a perfect square. Also, in order to see the geometry even better, you can check the on cage in the subdivision modifier. So this way the geometry is going to be seen much more better. So if you want to define the nose even better, we can select these edges and we can increase the mean crease up. Let me just increase that up to, let's say 1. 1 is too much, so 1.85. So next step is going to be to work on the eyes. So on the edit mode, I'd like to press Alt here to grab this entire edge line, the loop. And on the front, we can press E, S to scale it down, and we can push it inside. We can push it inside like that. We can press E again, S, and let's scale it down. We can push it inside and press F to fill that loop. And finally, in order to sharpen this edge line, we can insert an extra edge loop. So let's press Ctrl R here. We can take it outside. So this way we're going to be sharpening this edge loop. So now let's add our eye. So you can press Shift S, cursor selected. You can press Shift A, and let's bring a UV sphere. So for this UV sphere, I'd like to reduce the segments down to just 10, because we are already using the subdivision modifier. And for the rings, we can just use 5. So let's go ahead and scale it down. You can scale it down like this. You can press 3, and I'd like to spin it on the X. So RX, let's spin it by minus 90 degrees. Let me just face it from the front. We have to push it, make it inside that eye socket. You can scale it up, push it like this. Alright, so you can do right click and shade smooth. So next I'd like to refine a little bit the socket. So what we can do, we can take this edge that we got here. Let me just activate the proportion edition tool, and we can push it outside. But we need to do that without deforming the eye. So what you can do, you can check this connected only. So this way it's going to be affecting that part. So let me just scroll down so that we can reduce that influence. So something like that. And let me select my eye, and we can push it outside. Take it a little bit to the right side and take it back. There we go. That looks acceptable. We can drag it a little bit down here. So I'd like to bring the eyes a little bit closer to each other. So on the edit mode, we can select here this edge line by pressing Alt, and we can press L to grab the eye. And after that, we can be using the proportion editing tool. We can press 1 to be facing the front, and I'd like to move the eyes just a bit to the right side. Also here we can check the clipping so that we won't gonna have any problems at the middle. So just take this part of the eye a little bit to the left side. So make sure that eyes are close and not far from each other. So here at the top we can fix this problem that we got here. I'm going to be selecting these vertices and try to push them outside, take them up just a bit to have that forehead better defined. Also you can try to align, push these a little bit outside. There we go. That looks much more better. Just even push it outside. Okay, same thing here. Alright, that's good. So now let's go ahead and model the mouth. I'd like to press 3 so that we can jump to the side, and I'd like to work on the structure of the mouth here. So we need to be on the vertex mode. You can switch here to the wireframe, and let's tweak the bottom chin. And just push it outside like this. Take the top vertices a little bit up, drag them to the left side. Like this, we can try to spin them on the X. We can press RX and spin them sideways like this. Same thing here for the top. You can try to bring these vertices down. Something like that. Here we can check it from the front, how it is. Alright, so for example, here we can try to push this part outside. Try to drag it a little bit down. Same thing here, we can push it outside. Take it a little bit down like that. And after that, what you can do, you can try to, let me just make it smile a little bit. You can drag the front here. Just give it some care. I'd like to select this vertex that we got right here. Let's press 1, and I'd like to make the mouth a little bit smaller, so we can activate the proportion editing tool. So make sure that it's connected only, so that we won't gonna affect the eye, and we can simply drag it a little bit to the right side, the left side, something like that. So now the mouth looks much more better. So next, what we can do, we can press Alt here, and we can try to extrude this section. So let's try E and press Y to go on the Y-axis, and we can take that part a little bit up. Let me just remove the proportion editing tool. You can just take it up like that. Alright, so now we have to work on the lips. So we can press Alt here. Let me just press N to access the transform, and we can increase the increase up. Let's say 0.6. So now we got some sharp edges. We need to do the same thing for the bottom, so let's press Alt here on the bottom, and we can increase again the increase to 0.6. We can just drag it a little bit down so that we can see the bottom lip. For example, here we can try to push it up. This part we can make it obvious just a bit, but these two vertices you can push them up. Let me just see, there we go, so the mouth looks nice. In the next part, we'll complete the rest of the beard, refining the details and making it ready for texturing and animation. So stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial series.